It's game day, Johnny Mac, and it's down in South Jersey or North Jersey. What's the scene down there at MetLife Stadium, Johnny Mac?
Yeah, Xander, obviously the big news, and Derek Gunn, who'll be on the post game show with us um, after the game here on the JAKIB Media YouTube channel. Derek Gunn reported Jalen Hurts would not be able to go on Saturday. That does, in fact, turn out to be the case. Jalen Hurts is officially inactive, so Gardner Minshew will make his first start with the Philadelphia Eagles. Acquired very late, obviously, in the preseason. August 28th, I believe, was the day. So even if you go back to those two joint practices the Eagles had with the Jets in training camp, he wasn't on this team. So, um, he'll get an opportunity. I do want to emphasize, as I said on the YouTube channel throughout the weekend, this is not a benching by any stretch of the imagination. This is just about Jalen Hurts not being able to go physically, and when he's ready to go, he'll be the starting quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles moving forward. But I do think the offense changes a little bit. The Eagles have the number one ranked rushing offense in the NFL at almost 160 yards a game. A lot of that stems from the success that Jalen Hurts has rushing the football. You're losing that. Gardner Minshew has functional mobility. He can move around, but he's not going to be able to run the football like Jalen Hurts. But you probably gain a little bit in the intermediate passing game. Gardner has had some success in Jacksonville. Obviously, his numbers, Jacksonville wasn't a very good team, so they didn't win a lot, but his numbers were pretty good throwing the football. And I think you look at somebody like Dallas Goedert. This should be a big target game for a Dallas Goedert.
Yeah, and that leads me to my next point, Johnny Mac. I know I saw Jeff Kerr put out a tweet. Shane Steichen earlier in the week said, our offense is our offense. We're going to do what we do. But the reality is, as you just laid out, Jalen Hurts is very effective with his legs. Gardner Minshew, while you said he's mobile, he's not a Jalen Hurts. Can we expect more to Devontae Smith? Can we expect more to Dallas Goedert? Can we expect Jalen Reagor to maybe make a catch today? What are you expecting to see differently from the offense today when you take away those quarterback legs that we get with Jalen?
Yeah, I think it's going to be more pass heavy, no question. And I think it's going to be about the intermediate passing game. Gardner doesn't exactly have a huge arm. So I do think it's going to be in that sort of mid-range type of atmosphere. And that means, yeah, probably. And I mentioned Dallas Goedert specifically, Devontae Smith as well, maybe even the other receivers. You try to get Jalen Reagor a little bit of confidence off last week, Quez Watkins as well. And also remember the Eagles are banged up at running back, so that will affect the running game. Miles Sanders is going to play, but he has the ankle issue. He couldn't finish last week's game. Boston Scott is going to play, but he was ill all week and unable to practice. And they still have Kenny Gainwell. And then just a little note as well, Reed Sinnett is obviously the backup quarterback, and he arrived late. So, cross your fingers that Gardner Minshew doesn't get banged up in this game, because then you have to go to Reed Sinnett, who's only been here since the Eagles traded Joe Flacco. And he was at the hip of quarterbacks coach Brian Johnson throughout pregame as the Eagles try to get him up to speed, because you have to have that contingency plan at all times.
Yeah, I would imagine Reed's probably feeling a little bit of nerves, getting ready for, I don't know, is this his first game dressing in the pros? I've never heard of Reed Sinnett.
It's certainly his first game dressing here. I do not believe he dressed. I believe the Eagles picked him up on waivers from Miami, but don't hold me to that. I don't think he dressed there as well. So, yeah, I mean, this is a big day for him as well. And you don't want to be in that situation. You want where you want to lean on Reed Sinnett, but you have to be realistic and you have to get him as ready as possible. But the hope is obviously that Gardner Minshew starts and finishes.
Got it. And now, John, let me bring you back a little bit. We've talked about the beginning of the week. We've talked about even back to the beginning of the season, how The playbook has changed. Nick Sirianni changed the way he was calling plays from the first couple weeks, probably because of Jalen Hurts' deficiencies in the passing game. I think you referred to it as making things easier on him, tightening up that playbook a little. Does that open back up? Is Nick Sirianni throw out what he's done the last 4 or 5 weeks with the 40 rushes a game, and it's okay, we have a quarterback that throws the ball effectively? Do we go back to a more traditional style offense and attack the Jets that way? I mean, they do not have a good passing defense. I think it's bottom in the league.
No, they don't. And let's be honest, the Jets don't really do anything all that well. They don't run. They don't stop the run all that well. They don't stop the pass all that well. So you can look at it both ways. I think part of the you have to go away from the running game a little bit because you don't have that threat that Jalen Hurts provides. And that's not even taking into account the health of Miles Sanders, as I said, or Boston Scott's illness, and that'll probably affect things as well. So I think just from a natural standpoint, you have to change a little bit. One thing Nick Sirianni has said pretty consistently as he points back to his time in Indianapolis with Frank Reich, and he says he had 3 different quarterbacks: Andrew Luck, Jacoby Brissett, Phillip Rivers, and the offense changed with each of them. And that's what you're going to see with the change from Jalen Hurts to Gardner Minshew. You're going to lean on what Gardner does better. And he throws the football better than he runs the football. So you almost have to go to a more balanced attack, and you can't say, I'm going to run the football down their throats, because you're not going to get that 70 to 80 yards from Jalen Hurts. You're just not going to have that.
Yeah, and I'm a Jalen Hurts guy, but here's my question for you, Johnny Mac. Does this tell us all we need to know about the starting quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles? I mean, if you look around the league and you look at some of the quarterbacks in the league, none of those fan bases are tweeting, celebrating, talking about, discussing. If their starting quarterback goes down, the betting lines change. Everything changes. The fan base expects a loss almost. It's a little bit of a different feel here in Philadelphia. I know Jalen Hurts is a young quarterback. I know he has to develop. And like I said, I'm a fan. I went to Alabama. I love Jalen. So keep the hate away from me. But I don't know. I mean, I wonder that.
Well, typically in NFL cities, when you lose your starting quarterback, there's going to be a significant downgrade in play. And that's not necessarily the case here in Philadelphia at the present time. And this is a city that has been through this before, whether it was Nick Foles and Carson Wentz, whether it was Jalen Hurts and Carson Wentz, and now it's Gardner Minshew and Jalen Hurts. So it is a very unique town. I can tell you this. The Eagles are very aware of what's going to happen with bye week coming up, especially if Gardner Minshew plays well. And they have made it very, very, very clear. So to all those haters out there, Jalen Hurts is the starting quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles. He's going to be the starting quarterback when he's healthy. And he would be playing today if he was healthy. So it has nothing to do with wanting to look at a different quarterback, wanting to expand the offense. They'll do that type of thing, and they'll gather intelligence from it. But I've been told, and other reporters have been told, that Jalen Hurts has done enough to be the starting quarterback of this team. Now, in the offseason, if they can get somebody better, that's a different conversation. But, for those thinking this is Gardner Minshew's chance to seize this team, they're playing the New York Jets. It's one of the worst teams in football. You got to put that context in it. The Eagles understand who their starting quarterback is, and that's Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, and I think I read one of your colleagues, beat reporters, put out the question at quarterback is not for 2021 anyway. So Jalen Hurts will finish the season. The question at quarterback is more pertaining to 2022.
Yeah, exactly. And and all bets are open. You're always trying to improve. If you can go get a Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson clears up his issues, you can go get a player like that, convince him to play in Philadelphia. Yeah, you're gonna You're going to change your tone. You're going to change your thought process. But when it comes to Jalen Hurts versus Gardner Minshew, even though I know nobody's going to listen to me, even though I know everybody's going to create the controversy, especially if he plays well, inside the building, inside the NovaCare complex, there is no controversy between those two players.
No, it's in perfect Philadelphia fashion, Johnny Mac. It's a perfect storm before a bye week with 2 weeks off, after a Jalen Hurts, his worst performance as a pro last week. If we get a Gardner Minshew 400-plus passing yard performance today, sound the alarms in Philly.
Well, 400, yeah, it's gonna be over the top at 400. I don't think you're going to see that because I don't think this team is capable. I don't think they have the weapons.
Yeah, me neither.
But the Jets are the Jets. You never know. Gardner is capable. He's proven that in Jacksonville. And you're right. If he plays well, everything is going to go nuts. But Jalen Hurts is going to be the starting quarterback, whether people believe it or not, when he's healthy.
Sounds good, Johnny Mac. And the most thing I'm looking forward to is I'd like to see Devontae Smith get the ball, because I know we talk about Jalen, but my biggest question with this is you draft a wide receiver in the first round. He looks to be a stud, and you have him developing with a quarterback that's not proficient in the passing game. Is that affecting his ability to get better as a wide receiver? I think yes. I think we'll learn more about that today with a more proficient quarterback.
Yeah, I've made that argument. People look at last year's draft and they look at what Justin Jefferson does on almost a weekly basis. And they say, wow, if you had that in this offense. But Justin Jefferson wouldn't be Justin Jefferson that he is in Minnesota in this offense. I mean, he'd still be a great receiver. He'd still be a heck of a lot better than Jalen Reagor. I'm not trying to say that. But if you don't have that high volume passer, as I like to call it, receivers are at the mercy, and Devontae Smith talked about that this week, not in relation to the Eagles, because he loves Jalen Hurts, his former teammate at Alabama, but he was asked about the Heisman and winning the Heisman at the wide receiver position, which is not easy because it's coming up. The Heisman this year is coming up. And, he mentioned, and others have mentioned, Nick Sirianni's mentioned, you're at the mercy of the quarterback as a receiver a lot of times, as far as, statistics and things like that. So, yeah, that's a larger ranging question. And again, that's probably an off-season question as well, because you want to get Devontae Smith ultimately with a quarterback that's capable of putting up 4,000 passing yards. And that's the kind of offense Nick Sirianni wants to run. But those are questions for the offseason, not as the Eagles try to push for that final playoff spot in the NFC late this season.
Right, and I know Mac Jones certainly did deliver that ball to Devontae on time and accurately last year for him to get that Heisman Trophy. But that'll do it, Johnny Mac. The game's coming up in about an hour and 10 minutes, and we'll see how it all plays out.
Yeah, I still expect the Eagles to win this game. The Jets have never beaten the Eagles in the regular season. 11-0 goes back to 1973. I just think they're going to go about it a different way. I think it's going to be a big, big Dallas Goedert game.
All right, Johnny Mac. Cue the alarms, cue the quarterback controversy in Philadelphia fashion, and we'll see everyone at halftime and on the live post-game show. Thanks, Johnny Mac.
All right, thanks.